we will discuss more around the cloud disadvantages. See, when it comes to disadvantage, okay, so in on the premises you get full control, right? You get full control on the hardware, and you get full control on your IT assets, including server, storage, network, and whatever happens on your storage device or on your server hardware, everything you have full control. Okay, so that is maybe like you have less control, or less control on IT assets or IT business assets like your server and other hardware, which have your business critical data. So even it holds your business data, right? When it comes to storage, the whatever content that you are storing, you are losing control. And when we go and store our data in a third party data center in a public cloud, so the chances of data leakage or data information leakage is high, right? See, for example, since it is public cloud, if you're going and creating a S3 bucket, or if you're going and creating a Azure Blob Storage, so when you enable access, you have to be very careful there. See, as a customer in shared responsibility model, irrespective of any model, we are the one who is responsible for creating accounts, identities, and protecting our information and data. So the responsibility always retained by the customer when it comes to identity and access management, plus the type of devices that could connect to your cloud, maybe a mobile device or desktop device or whatever. So all these three items are within the customer. If you have given public access to the S3 bucket, or if you have enabled read access or write access to some of your business critical data, then it is you who has not properly configured or secured your account, so enabling encryption and all those things. So there are chances of information leakage is little high in the public cloud, because it is a public facing, or it is general public facing cloud data center. So data insecurity is high. Okay, so you have to carefully deal with all your information and so on. And next thing is like the contractual agreements, the contracts, the vendor relationship management. It's going to be a challenge, not only in the cloud, public cloud, even in the premises. Like we have to handle a lot of hardware contractual agreements, OS license agreements, and so on. But then at least in the public cloud we have less dealing. But the dependency on the cloud vendor, or we could say like we have a vendor lock-in situation, where we might end up migrating everything towards the public cloud provider offering. See, when Amazon came into the cloud, they were purely into different business, right? They were into media business. They were selling books, they were selling DVDs and stuff online. And later they moved into IT offering, or I mean, they are just providing computing as a service now through Amazon Web Services. So anything that they are offering on date, like it was not the case earlier. Now if you ask them whether they have their own flavor of OS, they do have their operating system. They have their flavor of database like Amazon Aurora. So they have the flavor of any product that you think about. They do have a equivalent product with them. So what will happen over the period? Okay, they will just tell you, like when you run a particular application on Amazon Linux, okay, compared to Red Hat Linux, or compared to the other flavors of Linux, they will say like Amazon Linux can provide you higher performance, better throughput, lesser cost, and so on. So obviously, like as a customer, we will tend to reduce our cost, optimize our cost, and we might migrate our operating system data, applications, database towards Amazon provided products and services. So at the end, like when you want to go out of their data center, or when you want to get out of their products, you have a high dependency. So that's what I'm saying. Like you might end up in a situation where you might get into the vendor lock-in situation. Most of your applications and business asset will start residing in the AWS native products and services. But yeah, so that it is what it is. The Amazon cannot continue to provide services from third party, right? For example, if they don't have their own operating system, or if they don't have their own database, then they have to rely upon Microsoft or Oracle or third party companies to provide these services, right? And if they provide all these things in house, they get full benefit of the revenue, right? And otherwise, like if they are reselling Microsoft operating systems or Oracle database, they will get only a portion of the benefit, or they will get only the profit revenue, a margin, and then the profit revenue, right? So that's how the challenge is, and definitely they have to build all these things. But over the period, you might end up migrating all your business asset towards Amazon native products and services, which is obvious. Okay, so this is kind of um, a good advantage when it comes to vendor relationship management, because you might have only one vendor to deal with when it comes to operating system issue or database issue. On the other side, you might have to rely upon them if you want to move out of the data center and so on. So the dependency kind of increases with a specific vendor. Okay, and that is maybe the reason some customers are providing going with multi-cloud strategy. They are migrating their workload towards different public cloud data centers, and they are having a hybrid cloud scenario where they will have less dependency on a particular provider. Okay, and above all these things, see, we are talking about public cloud, Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure. These are all available to every general public over the public internet. So if you are talking about public internet, whoever is connecting, right, from home or from office or from VPN network, we should have a reliable network bandwidth. Especially the internet connectivity should be very reliable. So that is another thing you need to have in cloud. So that is a very important point. If internet is not working, then you cannot access anything. So that is another disadvantage. You are completely relying upon the internet technology, connectivity, and the speed, throughput, so on. And the more you use the internet, obviously your network cost, the redundancy, implementation. So network cost is going to increase. If you need higher bandwidth, you are going to pay more, and the cost will definitely increase, right? And we are not aware of where exactly the data center is, how exactly their network backplane connects. So we actually trust the provider. Okay, so we don't have clarity, we don't have a kind of understanding, but this is how the cloud, we are going to deal with the cloud. The next important point is unpredicted cost. Okay, when I say unpredicted costs, see, as an architect, we have to be very careful when you go and solution something. See, for a particular provider, for a particular customer, okay, we cannot assume that all the applications are equally important. So we need to understand which applications are mission critical, which applications are production, which ones are non-production, because not all the application need the same level of redundancy, high availability. They don't need the same level of security. We have to kind of categorize, segregate the workloads in such a way that we understand how critical it is for the business, and we have to apply the security measures accordingly. For example, some architects will design in such a way that every application should be protected by DDoS attack or protected from web application firewall and so on. See, these kind of services are mainly needed for your application which are internet facing, which are kind of facing the end users directly through the internet gateway or directly through the internet backbone. So that means like only the application that are internet facing, you need to apply a lot of demilitarized zone kind of stuff to protect your application. So not all your application need to be protected with WAF or DDoS, or even for that matter, not all your application has to be encrypted. So you need to understand what are the requirements, what is the availability need for your application, and you have to design for redundancy, design for failure, design for security, and so on. So there are chances you might go and enable a lot of features and benefits which are chargeable, and it might end up with unpredicted costs. So that is another thing. And when you go to public cloud offering, especially platform as a service or software as a service, so you have to, they provide only latest or recent products and releases, right? When I say recent and products and releases, the latest version, or the one version lesser than the current version, or n minus 2. Okay, so most of the legacy applications will not be supported in the public cloud offering. They will only support the latest product versions and a couple of versions that are older than the current one. Okay, so this is another thing. So in a nutshell, okay, so you have a very high dependency on internet bandwidth, and there is a very high privacy requirement that you need to kind of take care of, and you need to have a kind of solutioning where you don't end up paying a lot of cost. Okay, you have to select the services, or you have to pick and choose very carefully in the cloud. So if you go and enable a particular option, like if you say I need a standard protection than the basic protection, then obviously it will the cost will increase by multifold. Okay, so you have to be very careful. So there are chances of unpredicted cost if you go and enable certain features without your knowledge. Automatically it will end up with more cost. So these are all some of the cloud disadvantage. I hope I have covered compatibility, control, yeah, so contract. So more risk on information leakage. See, it is only risk actually. It is not that you are going to um, I mean, information might not will not get leaked if you are having a proper control, proper protection mechanism. And definitely, user is not aware of where the data center is, where the network, what kind of configurations they have done, and so on. So we are completely relying upon the supplier's manageability and factor. Okay, any questions on cloud disadvantage? I don't want to list too many points, but for now, yeah, these are the top 7 or top 5 points when it comes to cloud disadvantage. Okay, fine. So now let's move on. We will get to understand what exactly is the current market looking like, when it comes to there are multiple providers, and now as a learner, we have chosen to learn AWS, right? Amazon Web Services. There are other competitors like Microsoft Azure, who is very fast growing, and we have got Google Cloud, who is providing a lot of niche products and services, tool sets. And we need to understand, right, how exactly the market looks like, and what are the different differentiators on AWS compared to the other cloud.